So, good morning, everyone. My name is Katrine Angela Saldana, your host for today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Sprout HR and Finance Experts by Sprout Solutions. How are you? I'm sure this is a critical time for HR, and so we're here to give you legal and practical advice to help lead your company. By the way, we're live on Facebook. So, just to give you a brief introduction to who we are, Sprout is an HR technology company that helps your company take it to the next level in terms of taking care of your people. We provide systems and support for recruitment, timekeeping to payroll, and analytics, all in a cloud based system to enable work from home, work for you. And now, we hope to be able to lift up your team during this crisis. So while waiting for everyone to tune in, I'd like to introduce you to the raffle mechanics. So next slide, please. So for the raffle mechanics, here's how you can join. So all you have to do is collect all three keywords and get a chance to win 500 pesos Lazada gift certificate. All you have to do is follow Sprout's official Twitter page at Sprout HR Tech and collect all the three keywords and comment these on the post pinned on our page. We will announce the lucky winner at the end of the session, and we'll be sending the gift certificates through email and after the session before 6 p.m. So for the first raffle keyword, today is technology. Again, the first raffle keyword is technology. So prepare your questions for the fireside chat session later and ask them anything on your mind with regards to matters concerning our topic today, which is digital transformation, legal updates on e-governance, and streamlined business operations. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. He is the Data Privacy Officer and HR and Legal Consultant of Sprout Solutions. He has previously worked in reputable law firms and private companies as a labor and tax lawyer, counseling mostly for HR practitioners and company management. Let us all welcome Atty Jay-Ryan Trinidad.
Hi, Kat. Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? So before I start my discussion, I want to make a caveat that just in case, usually around this time, my internet gets unstable. So just in case you're losing me or I'm getting cut off, please feel free to notify me so I'll be able to know that you're losing me. Thank you. So for today, as Kat said, we will be discussing about digital transformation. And why is this important? Well, basically, we know that we are already in the new normal, no? And as much as possible, we want to transact with our government agencies without physically being there in their office, no? And avoid the inconvenience of lining up outside or waiting for our turn to be called, no? But first, we have to understand what is digital transformation in terms of the public sector, no? So when we talk about this topic, this is basically the ability of technology to transform the way the public sector operates and delivers their services to customers. No? For customers, we are talking of several stakeholders here. You have the citizens, which is basically the relationship between the government and the citizenry, which is what we call the G2C. We also have businesses as their customers, which is what we call the G2B, and then we also have, government to government agencies, which we call the G2G, and then also the government to government employees, which is what we call the G2E. No? So for our discussion this morning, I think we have to operationalize and localize the setup of what digital transformation is all about. No? So we want you to understand how our government leverages technology in aspects of business registration, reportorial submission, government payments, and of course, the reduction of red tape. No? So next slide, please. But the first thing that we want to understand is if we have a legal basis for digital transformation. No? So under the 1987 Philippine Constitution, which was enacted or came in full force and effect in February of 1987, 1987, there were categorical statements that our state supports information, communication, and technology as essential elements in our nation building. No, under Section 24 state policies, it is explicitly stated here that the state recognizes the vital role of communication and information in nation building. Next slide, please. And then, most particularly in Section 10 of Article 14, the Constitution states that science and technology are essential for national development and progress. No? So 33 years ago, there's already a recognition that technology is very important or very vital to our national development. No? So in 1994, the internet was first introduced in the Philippines, and since then, the number of internet users in the countries have grown exponentially and in fact still growing. No, so according sa data reportal statistics that we gathered, around 73 million Filipinos are already in our internet users, no, as of January 2020, and then the penetration rate stood at a very high of 67%, one of the highest in the ASEAN region. No? And in fact, it's common nowadays that we are being called as, the heavy users of social media. No, so obviously because most of us are very much into Facebook and other social media events. Social media platforms rather. Next slide, please. Can everyone hear me? Okay, so with the passage of the 1987 Constitution and also the introduction of the internet, there are laws and policies, no, that have been enacted to address these new developments. And particularly those policies that relate to technologies. No? So just to give you an example, we have the anti-photo and video voyeurism. We also have those anti-child pornography act. No? But for today's discussion, we will not discuss those G2C or government to citizens policies. No? So instead, we will discuss only those policies or laws that relate to businesses or the G2B. No? And what do we have under that setting? No? So the first one that we have is the RA 11032, which is the Ease of Doing Business Act of 2018, which came in effect, no, on May 28, 2018. I think this is one of the landmark laws of President Duterte because it was very clear at the early stage of his presidency that one of his main is to promote competitiveness and ease of doing business in the country. No, so what does this law state? The first salient point of Ease of Doing Business Act is for all the government agencies to re-engineer their systems and procedures. No, they are required to do time and motion studies, undergo evaluation, reduce bureaucratic red tape and processing time. No. Another salient provisions of this is to develop electronic versions of licenses, clearances, permits, certifications, or authorizations. So unlike before where you have to get physical copies of documents of your proof of registration, the government agencies are now encouraged to provide you electronic versions of these documents. No? And these documents will have the same level of authority as that of the signed hard copy, which may be printed by the applicants or requesting parties in the convenience of their offices. No, so I'll give you an example in the next slide, but let's finish first this slide. Oops, can you go back, please? And then the third salient provision is that all LGUs should have unified business application form, no, for permits and business renewals, which shall be made available online using technology-neutral platforms such as website, central business portal, and other channels. But so far, we don't know how our LGUs are implementing this provision of the law. There are some that comply, but there are some that there's still room for them to improve their unified business application form. Because if you go, for instance, in Taguig City, based on my personal experience, in getting mayor's permit, you still have to physically and manually submit your real estate application form. You also have to show your sanitary permit as well as your fire permit before you be able to produce your mayor's permit. No, And then the last important provision of this law is the Central Business Portal, where the Department of Information and Communication Technology is mandated to create a central system that will receive applications and capture application data involving business-related transactions. Next slide, please. So a perfect example of an electronic version that doesn't have to be manually printed is the NPC registration. No, this certification is issued by the National Privacy Commission. So if your company has a DPO, or if you want to register your company or is required to register under the NPC, you can just do everything via online, and then you will receive your NPC certificate of registration via email. So this example is taken from the website of the National Dairy Authority, a government agency. No? So as you could see here, this particular certification also has the same effect as of that of manual or physical certificate of NPC registration. Next slide, please. Okay, so under the Ease of Doing Business Act, the Anti-Red Tape Authority was established. No? Next slide, please. Next slide. So again, under this law, the Anti-Red Tape Authority was created, no, and it has the main responsibilities of administering and implementing the law, and it's implementing rules and regulations, and monitoring and ensuring compliance with the Anti-Red Tape Act and Ease of Doing Business Act of 2018. So as of now, there are four major officers here. You have the Director General, which is occupied by Attorney Jeremiah B. Belhica, and then there are three other Deputy Generals for legal, operations, and admin and finance. Next slide. Next. Okay. So what are the ARTA initiatives? No, I think these are the important things that we have to understand, because these are some of the government procedures and processes that will impact on how we deal with government institutions. No, so the first initiative that they have is the fast track measures. No, so here ARTA is requiring all government agencies to consider accepting applications or reports through email and other online platforms, including submissions of digital copies of supporting documents, and also approvals need not be physical, or we don't have to wait in the government facilities just for us to know whether we are approved or denied, because the decision may be issued via email or other online platforms as well. No, but all the transactions that are being done online may be subjected to post audits when necessary or when able. No, so perfect examples of this would be SBWS, or the Small Business Wage Subsidy Program, wherein your organization availed of these incentives via online application by qualifying under the BIR platform as well as the SSS platform, or maybe through the use of emails for submissions. No, and then also we have the DOLECAM there, where we submitted to the Department of Labor the list of our employees that we wish to could be covered by the 5,000 pesos DOLECAM program. And then right now we have the LTO extension of driver license. This can be done online already. And also Pag-ibig recently opened its loans application online as well. So these are the example of the fast track measures under the ARTA initiatives. No. Next slide, please. Next slide. Hello. Next slide. Okay, so just in case you are not happy with the way that you are being serviced or were serviced by a government employee, you can actually send a complaint to ARTA. No? You can send an email to their email address at complaints@arta.gov.ph, or you can simply complete the complaint form available in their website, http://arta.gov.ph/pages/complaint form.php. So what would be the remedy there, just in case the erring employee is found to be, liable of committing the violations under the ARTA law? Well, basically, the government employee would be suspended for at least 6 months, and he or she can suffer a penalty or fine of will not exceed 500,000 pesos. Next slide, please. Okay, let's go to the Department of Labor and Employment and what are the electronic or digital initiatives that they have. No? So now, for your information, ladies and gentlemen, DOLE has the electronic request for assistance for SENA. No? So what is SENA? If you would, SENA is basically the single entry approach, which is an administrative approach to provide a speedy, impartial, inexpensive, and accessible settlement procedure of all labor issues or conflicts to prevent them from ripening into full-blown disputes or actual labor cases. No? Prior to the ERFA, if a disgruntled employee wants to file a SENA form to the DOLE, no, all they have to do is to go to the Bookman office in Quezon City, which is located at the ground floor of that building, and then manually file the form. No? Ifa-file lang po nila yung SENA form doon, pupunta lang po sila. But now, it's more easier because at the comfort of their homes, an employee can actually request for electronic assistance from SENA. No? While this is not a full-blown labor case, but you know, SENA is always the intro or the first step towards having a full-blown case if not settled at that stage. No, so what will happen here? So all filed requests for assistance will be scheduled for conference upon normal resumption of office, and then notification on the updated schedule would be sent via email, private courier, or postal service. The employee or the complaining employee has the option of picking the manner or the mode of notification. No? So there's no report yet on which of these three modes are being maximized right now. But I would assume that since we are still trying to observe physical distancing, then email might be exhausted. No? So it would be very, very easy for an employee to just do the ERFA right now. No? Just email and then go to the website and submit the form. And then the schedule is selected through the online system for reference only. It will not be, it's not the actual date and time of the conference. So the notification for conference that will be included in the date of the conference will be included in the notification itself. No? Next slide, please. So how does it look right now? So the ERFA is now accessible and downloadable in this website, https ://nlrc nlrc.dole.gov.ph /ERFA. So the form looks like this, no? Very simple. Right now, this is only available in Metro Manila. No other NLRC jurisdiction can do ERFA, only Metro Manila. So that would cover Makati, Quezon City, NLRC. No? So there. And then you just have to drag down the relief option there. And then you can select the particular relief that you are trying to claim. No? So what would be the step there? Number one is for you to fill out the online form. Number two, select jurisdiction and relief. Again, jurisdiction is only, ERFA is only available in Manila, in Metro Manila. And then step three, you just have to submit online. And then step four, you just have to select whether the notification to your employer or to the employer will be done via personal service or via courier or email. So if an employee knows the email address of the company, she can simply put it in the form, and then the named individual or the authorized representative of the company will receive that notification via email. Next slide, please. Now, there are other small initiatives that that DOLE is doing right now. No, so if you have already resumed operations and you are still doing the flexible work arrangement, or will still implement the scheme such as the alternative work scheme, or you have decided to temporarily close your business or do retrenchment, reduction of workforce, or worse, do permanent closure, you can now submit your RKS form number 5 via online. It can be submitted also personally, but that DOLE encourages employers to submit online, no, to the appropriate DOLE provincial field office, which has jurisdiction over the workplace. Next slide. Okay. What about the Bureau of Internal Revenue? No? So with the BIR, we all know that there are plenty of initiatives that they are doing. In fact, a BIR is one of the most, if not very progressive agencies in the government, simply because it has been implementing a lot of online initiatives such as the e-registration for teen, e-payments. But for this discussion, I'll just discuss the most recent online initiative that BIR made, no, which is the availment of the tax amnesty. So here, if your company wants to avail of the tax amnesty, no, which is open for those who have liabilities 2017 and prior years, and if you have already filed your protest before the BIR, you can now submit an online withdrawal of that protest and be able to covered by the tax amnesty, or avail of the tax amnesty program. So what do you have to do here, no? So temporarily, it allows us the filing of the withdrawal of the protest on the final assessment notice, or if you have a fund already, and then if you receive a formal letter of demand, or you have an appeal on the final decision on disputed assessment. So all those things that you submitted, particularly the protest letters, um, you can withdraw them via electronic email for purposes of availing the amnesty program. No, so step one, all you have to do here is to send a letter of withdrawal of the protest or appeal in PDF format, individually attached to the email, and sign the taxpayer or his her duly authorized representative. No, and then step two, you just have to attach in the letter the first page of the protest or appeal sought to be withdrawn, bearing the stamp received of the appropriate BIR office. No? So basically what you're saying here is that, okay, BIR, we want to avail of the tax amnesty. Previously, we filed a protest against your fund, PAN, FDDA. Now we want to avail of it, so we are withdrawing our protest. No? You just have to follow the letter format of the BIR para mas madali po nilang ma-process ang inyong withdrawal, online withdrawal of protest. Next slide. So here are the email addresses for tax amnesty availment. There are other revenue regions, no, but I assume that most of our audience, came from these particular revenue offices, no. So for Revenue Region 5 Caloocan City, the email is rr_5csu@bir.gov.ph. For Revenue Region 6 City of Manila, that's rr_6csu@bir.gov.ph. For Revenue Region 7 Quezon City, that's rr_7acsu@bir.gov.ph. And then Revenue Makati City, rr_8acsu@bir.gov.ph. And those that are located in Taguig City, no, just like Sprout, you can go to Revenue Region. You can submit your online withdrawal of protest to rr_8bcsu@bir.gov.ph. Now, let me just warn you that you have to notify your finance department of this tax amnesty program and let them check if you have any obligations prior 2017 and be able to avail of this, and check if your company will qualify. The deadline for you to do this is only until June 22, no? So 18, 19, 20. So that's 4 days from now. So really, you have to notify your finance department as soon as possible. Next slide, please. There are also other BIR initiatives in partnership with the ARTA. Number one, ARTA and BIR introduced the electronic submission of audited financial statements. Now your AFS, instead of you physically and manually submitting it to the BIR and then having them stamp it received, you can do this online already. And then also they offer the electronic tax software provider, or the ETSP, which is a system developed and maintained by the BIR for electronically filing tax returns and paying due taxes. No? So just so you know, Sprout, my company, is one of the few ETSP certified by the BIR. No? But we haven't really implemented this program yet, no? Because in doing so, you have to match the system of the BIR and match our system, and both entities have to work together to be able to have the right format and forms for for the tax returns. And then also BIR has expanded its online payment methods, no, through the help of its authorized agents, banks, which now include Land Bank, Union Bank, Development Bank of the Philippines, and then PayMaya and GCash. No? So now individual taxpayers through the just by merely checking their phones or logging in their PayMaya and GCash account can already pay their taxes. So there's no more excuse for us not to pay our taxes on time. Okay. Next slide, please. So what about the DICT, no? The Department of Information and Communications Technology. Next slide. So right now, DICT encourages the public to participate in their free webinars. Now, if you go to your Facebook account and then subscribe to the DICT page, you would see that there are a lot of ICT topics there that you can watch, or you can attend. They're doing this almost on a daily basis, and topics would include a wide array actually, but normally it would include topics such as cybersecurity, data security, public key infrastructure, and even doing how to be a digital parent. No, so these are some of the free webinars that they offer. But sometimes the slots are very limited, so you have to participate as soon as possible or register as soon as possible. Also, the ICT encourages lawyers and even individuals, and key staff of the IBP to avail of digital signatures, to ease the electronic signing of pleadings, ensure the integrity of legal documents, and protect lawyers during the conduct of general law practice online. But ladies and gentlemen, the digital signatures or the PKI project of the DICT is not limited only for lawyers. Even private individuals are encouraged to maximize this program. Instead of us subscribing to these online tools where we have to pay on a monthly basis, such as, well, I wouldn't name the name of the platforms, but there are plenty of providers out there you have to pay. But for the DICT's PKA program, the digital signatures are just free. The application is free. You can qualify very, very easily. Next slide, please. So what is PKI? No? So this, I think, this is the most important projects of the most important project of the DICT in terms of helping our businesses right now. No, syempre po tayo ay nasa work from yung iba sa atin nasa work from home pa rin. Gumagamit pa rin po tayo ng mga online transactions. We deal online as well. We do negotiate online as well, and we sign everything online. So we want to make sure that all those activities are safe and secured. No? So the ICT has an answer to that, which is the PKI program. So the PKI stands for the Public Key Infrastructure, which is essentially a set of hardware, software policies, personal and procedures needed to create, manage, distribute, use, store, and revoke digital certificates. No? So digital certificates are very small files that can be stored on your computer or an ordinary flash drive or USB token, and through the use of these certificates issued and digitally signed by the Certificate of Authority from the DICT, the PKI authenticates the data source and ensures data had not been tampered with in transit. No? And PKI can also be used to encrypt data such as email or online transactions. No? So just to laymanize everything, so if you want to make sure that the reports that you are submitting to the government offices during this current time I secured po, you just have to make sure that your digital certificates issued by the PKI is entered into that document, no? And you can even digitally sign it using PDF reader. Next slide, please. So among the applications that use PKR are electronic documents and form signings, email and instant messaging of files. So who can avail, again, government agencies and personnel, and even private individuals. So in fact, SEC is encouraging those who are submitting online to use PKI, instead of using other private platforms, although those private e-signature platforms have document trail or history trail and timestamp, no? Ito pong PKI can also do the same for free. And then this is, the good thing about this is that this is backed up by our government, no? So there will be no question about its authenticity. So for purposes of legality, anything that is signed using the ICT's PKI are considered as legal in nature. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits, no? PKI can vastly improve verifiable identification of an individual or entity, and then digital certificates ensure data sufficient integrity for acceptance as evidence in a court of law, as I explained a while ago. And also it provides significant protection against unauthorized access of common communications. Next slide. So right now, there are only two types of certificates available or issued by the DICT's PKI. No? Number one, you have the authentication certificate, which is used in applications that require the user to log in. It can be used to encrypt emails so that no other individuals or unauthorized individual can have access or can view what's the content of that email. Only the recipient or the true recipient will be able to decrypt that email or the content of that email. No? And then you also have the signing certificate, which you can use again to digitally sign documents. Available po ito online. The application for DICT's PKI is now available in their website. You can access it. They're very accommodating. You know, if you don't understand anything about the process or the form, you can simply ask them via phone or via email, and then they will respond to you as soon as possible. Very accommodating agency. Next. Okay, so these are the examples of what DTI's digital signature would look like. No, so as opposed to electronic signature, which is just a distinctive mark of your choice, no, which represents your identity. Actually, you have I believe a DocuSign and HelloSign. You can do electronic signature. No, with digital signature issued by the PKI, instead of you having those distinctive marks, no, you can also have this static text, no, with your name there, the serial number there, the office that is that you're affiliated with, and also the reason for this digital signature. No, so as you can see here, it says here it is legally recognized by RA 8792. And then after this, you can also have your electronic signature sign. You can do that via the Acrobat Reader signature tool. No, so you can still do the electronic signature, but what is important here is that you have the digital signature issued by the DICT. So in any transaction or document that you do electronically, you can now use the ICT's PKI instead of paying those other platforms. No? But the negative side of the digital signature of the government is that you have to manually input this all the time to the Adobe Acrobat. No? Instead of HelloSign or DocuSign, where everything is pretty much integrated or holistic already in the platforms. No? So sa digital signature, ipapasok nyo pa po siya manually. Kailangan nyo pa po siyang i-adapt doon sa mismong Adobe document para po maipasok. So in other words, the customer journey for the digital signature is definitely longer than having to sign a document using other private electronic signature platforms. Next slide. What about SEC? So again, SEC, next slide please. Again, SEC is one of the very active governments in terms of implementing online registration and submission. So right now they already opened their business registration online. Unlike before that you have to really line up outside of SEC's office and wait for your turn. Pretty much right now is available online. But the only problem is that at the end of the day, all your documentary requirements have to be notarized, and the concern there is that it's nowadays finding a notary public is difficult, no, or it's really a struggle. So hopefully our government would be able also to come up with a program where we can do electronic notarization. So just so you know, Sprout already submitted its proposal to the Supreme Court to do electronic notarization in the country. It has been submitted to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and I believe the Chief Justice already submitted it to the committee for their review, no, and further evaluation. But right now, we don't have the electronic notarization yet, no. So what does SEC requires for companies, no? They require companies to have cybersecurity, no. All corporations and their boards are enjoined to increase their cybersecurity measures, no? Especially now that there's a lot of online transactions going on. Corporations are also encouraged to assess their current cyber risks and prepare the appropriate cybersecurity measures. And then board and senior management are accountable and must be made aware of the cyber risks and craft the appropriate policies and measures for the corporation's cybersecurity. The SEC did not provide the meat of the cybersecurity notice. It only serves as a notice. So I guess the discretion on what is sufficient cybersecurity policy is would be resting on the expertise of your IT or risk officers, no, risk audit officers. Next slide, please. Okay, what about e-commerce law? Next slide. So under the e-commerce law, it states that all electronic documents shall have the legal effect, validity, or enforceability as any other document or legal writing. As in other documents, signatures authenticate the identity of its source or authenticate the consent of parties involved. No? The salient points of this law is that it gives legal recognition of electronic data messages, electronic documents, and electronic signatures. No? And it allows the formation of contracts in electronic form. So these are the important provisions that we have to remember about the e-commerce law. So usually there would be question around what if the electronic document is not notarized? Will that document be valid? Well, it is valid under the e-commerce law. No? The only thing that the notarization, the Notarial Act does is that it makes the document public in nature. So parang it gives notice to the public that this document exists. No? But even without a notary, that document remains to be valid. So all the provisions that are contained there or negotiated online under the e-commerce law, they are all considered as valid. So hopefully there will come a time where, you know, our online transactions or documents that we sign online can be recognized for notarization. But so far, notarization would remain to be that you have to appear physically or show the physical proof of signatures or physical documents to the notary public. No. Next slide. Okay, I think that ends my very quick discussion of our digital transformation topic. Kat?
So, thank you, Atty Jay-Ryan, for your informative input. So now I'd like to announce the second raffle keyword, which is e-governance. Again, our second raffle keyword is e-governance. So that you'll get to know more about who we are in Sprout, please watch this short video before we move on to the fireside chat portion of the event.
Hey, Paolo. Good to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, come in. Welcome to Sprout.
Tell us a little about Sprout.
We fix HR and payroll in the Philippines. We have a software platform. Companies use us to streamline time and attendance, HR, payroll, even recruitment these days.
Where did Sprout come from?
Well, I grew up on a farm, so plants are kind of in the background.
Okay.
Yeah.
So show us around, please.
Yeah, sure. So this is our sitting area first when we are entertaining guests. This is the P from our logo. My co-founder and I are quite hands-on, so we actually spent a lot of time kind of ideating and figuring out how the office should be. So yeah, that's how it got to where it is. This is Sprout's North Star. So this is kind of the fundamental vision of the company. We really want to impact the lives of every Filipino by improving business in the Philippines. So that's our mission and our vision and the whole package.
So hope you enjoyed the video. So now I'd like to introduce the third raffle keyword for today. So our third raffle keyword for today is digital. Again, the third raffle keyword for today is digital. So just to do a recap, the three keywords are technology, e-governance, and digital. So you can join the raffle by following Sprout Twitter page and commenting these three keywords on the pin post. So our official Twitter page is Sprout HR Tech. So now, the next portion of this event is our fireside chat. Please prepare your questions and just type them in the chat box. So I'd like to welcome back our speaker, Atty Jay-Ryan. And for our second panelist, let's welcome Attorney Lester Nazarene Ople. He is Sprout's legal counsel and public sector engagement lead. So ladies and gentlemen, you can now start asking your questions via the Zoom chat. Okay, so for our first question, panelists, so how can we make sure your business is complying with the government in terms of e-governance? Again, how can we make sure your business is complying with the government in terms of e-governance?
Let me take that question, Kat. So for compliance with e-governance, I think the first one is that you have to know first the relevant business laws or other regulations governing the industry where your business operates in. For example, if you are...
Say it again. Sorry, Kat, I didn't hear you. My internet is getting unstable right now, but can you say it?
I'm sorry, I'll repeat the question
Go ahead.
back, Attorney Lester. So how can we make sure your business is complying with the government in terms of e-governance? Again, how can we make sure your business is complying with the government in terms of e-governance?
Yeah, I'll proceed with my answer. So again, first, get to know the regulations relevant to your line of business or to your operations. So the first question there is, what kind of organization do you have? Are you a corporation, a sole proprietorship, or a partnership? And are there relevant legal issuances or regulations that you have to comply with to ensure that you are not running afoul of any laws or other regulations? So very particular dito yung BIR, no? So after registering your company, you normally have 30 days within which to apply for taxpayer identification number. So it really makes sense for business persons who initiate legal entities for their businesses to engage with either an accountant or a CPA or a lawyer or a law firm or other business consultant to be able to help you navigate the various issuances of government. I would just like to mention, because Sprout is in the business of serving the MSME sector, one legal issuance that you have to, that I would like to call your attention to, would be the BMBE, or the Barangay Micro Business Enterprise. This registration to the BMBE if your business is qualified for it, makes it a little easier to comply with the relevant regulatory issuances governing business. So mas madaling mag-comply sa BIR, SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and others if you are a BMBE, provided your business is qualified. So that would be a very long discussion pa. So please go to the DTI website and look for the BMBE or Barangay Micro Business Enterprise links in the DTI website.
Thank you, Attorney. So our next question is, do we have now an actual time simulation of applying businesses both from DTI and SEC? If so, how do we compare Philippines along other ASEAN neighboring countries on our ease of doing business by the number of days?
The World Bank, in its 2019 data, cited that the average number of days for for business to be registered in the Philippines is around more or less 33 days. No, that places us on a very disadvantageous position in relation to our neighbors like Singapore. In Singapore, it takes you within the day. You're finished in registering your business and you can be up and about the following day. Whereas in the Philippines, we have the challenge of having multiple agencies that you have to comply with. So magre-register ka muna DTI, business name, or SEC if you are a corporation. Tapos magre-register ka ng TIN, magre-register ka ng SSS employer number. Ang haba ng continuum, that's why it takes 33 days. And you have to remember also that you are also subject to local government issuances, particularly the mayor's permits, sanitation permits, garbage disposal permits, electrical inspection permits, madami. So I think Attorney Ryan can share a lot more kung ano yung mga requirements natin in terms of registration. No? But for the Philippines,
correct.
Yeah, the reason we
correct.
have the
Attorney Lesser, no? Yeah.
Yan. So, ang average pa rin po ng Pilipinas as of 2019 data is 33 days, and that is, I don't know where that is in the ASEAN region, no, but I'm aware that Singapore as fast as 1 day kaya.
Yeah. So just we know that where we are at right now, no. So Philippines is definitely not in the top 50s even, no. So number one in the Southeast Asian region, but number two overall, worldwide is Singapore, and then followed by by Hong Kong, no. So Philippines would be all the way down to, ang ranking natin is 95, no. Myanmar is just a little far behind us, but mas mataas pa sa atin ng Indonesia, ang Thailand definitely Thailand is in 21, Malaysia is in 12, Vietnam is in 70. So in terms of ease of doing business in the region, doing business in the country, I think we're really lagging behind our neighboring Asian countries, no.
Alright, thank you, attorneys. So for the next question, how do you make sure that your business complies with the Data Privacy Act or data security?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Kat?
Sorry, okay. How do you make sure that your company or business complies with the Data Privacy Act or data security?
Go ahead, Attorney Ryan.
Yeah, well, the first thing that you have to do is to make yourself or your company really aware of what data privacy law is all about, no? And then assess whether your company is required to register under the NPC, no? By default, you have to have one DPO, but just in case you don't have a data privacy officer, then it automatically becomes the head of the company automatically becomes your default DPO, no? So in doing so, you have to attend several trainings and then get your certification from the NPC or other private providers there, other providers there as well, no? And then be sure that you are familiar with what the law states, no? Basically, if you're processing any data, you have to determine whether you are a controller or you are a processor, and then from there, we can basically, it will take a lot of time for us to discuss the nitty-gritty of the DPO, but just so that you are complying with it, make sure that you know what the DPA states and provides.
I would just like to dovetail what Attorney Ryan mentioned, no? Especially now that in complying with the DTI DOLE interim guidelines for COVID prevention in the workplace, establishments now have health questionnaires containing contact information and information that would facilitate easier contact tracing in the event that there is a confirmed case of COVID-19 in the workplace. Now, if your facility or if your organization is dealing with it, and you have your health questionnaire forms in your reception, no? It makes sense for you to really get to know the Data Privacy Act and understand your obligations, because anecdotally, I've seen reports of was it an NU PEP squad coach. She's a very pretty lady, and she was interviewed by a news outfit, and the allegation or the report was that she was receiving random text messages from persons who she did not have any dealings with, no? And her theory is that in her day-to-day activities so far, she has had the opportunity to complete several health questionnaires, and the health questionnaire contains her contact number, no? So I remember that report. So if you are a workplace, or if you are a facility or establishment who requires the health questionnaire, please make sure that you are aware of what you are obliged to do in terms of protecting the data of people who are coming in and out of your facility, especially with respect to the information contained in the health questionnaires.
Especially now, Kat, no, may I just add that the burden really lies on the HR and admin people, because all of this information that an individual needs to fill in every now and then or every day, no, sila yung magko-collate yan eh. They will be the record keeper of those documents. So if if an individual or if an employee is declaring something about his or her health, no, under the law that is considered as a sensitive personal information, no. So there are higher measures or stricter measures that our HR and admin people have to comply, no, to be able to make sure na hindi tayo nagva-violate ng data privacy, no. So security measures, they have to discuss it right now on how they are doing it.
All right, thank you, attorney. So for our next question, currently we are sending a scanned copy of the original OR to our client who have paid online. Is this enough, or are we required by the law to send the original OR to our client?
There's no requirement really for you to send the original OR or CR to your client, but guess what? The BIR will, while it's trying its best to be digital in nature, no, is still at the end of the day, it would require a client to submit the actual or the physical copies of the OR and CR, and that would entail as part of your parang customer, how you deal with your customer relationship management, to be able to provide them the physical copies of the OR CR. Because eventually they will be using that for BIR compliance din eh. But if may I further explain that if in case that entity is already implementing electronic receipts that is approved by the BIR, then email would suffice, or copies of that electronic document would suffice. But if not, then they still need to send the physical copy of the OR and CR to the customer.
All right, thank you, attorney. So for our last question, what other initiatives will Sprout have in the next coming months that are compliant with DOLE requirements?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. No? So just our audience would know, Sprout is going to implement several initiatives in the coming months. One of that would be the mental health program. Why? Because we found out during our recent Pulse survey that most of the companies in the Philippines don't or have little mental health programs for their employees. No, and considering the scenario that we are in right now, there's really a spike of mental health conditions. No, but the thing there is that while there's an increase of mental health conditions in the workplace, the government and DOLE particularly now mandates employers to have their mental health programs, no? And on this, we can help our clients all the way to their compliance, because they have to have the mental health policy drafted and submit these programs online or physically to the Department of Labor that has jurisdiction over their workplace. So that's one. And then right now we have also Instacash, so they can access our loans via our platform. This is basically our way of giving financial access to their employees without really getting so much or being burdening so much with interest. So here, this is very compliant with laws, particularly with the Data Privacy Act, with the Truth in Lending Act, and all other SEC regulations out there for loans. So we don't send messages to employees who borrowed monies. We don't bombard them with harassing questions, or we don't even contact their relatives just to inform them that this person has an existing obligation that needs to pay. So we don't do those things. Very much compliant with the law.
Alright, thank you, attorney. So our time is up for this panel session. So for the questions that we were able to answer, please email legal@sprout.ph. So thank you everyone for participating, and thank you Attorney Lester and Attorney Ryan for your inputs.
Thank you.
So before we end the webinar, I'd also like to announce that you can still get all the HR help you need. So you can get free 30 days access to our HR and payroll system, Instacash, and BCP expert advice. So you can manage timekeeping and attendance, process payroll, and apply for Instacash completely done by the click of your finger. So help your company bounce back stronger with the Sprout for free 30-day trial. So you can sign up using the link here on your screen. So now for the moment we've all been waiting for, I'd like to announce the 4 raffle winners. So for our 4 winners, we have Miss Girly de la Cruz, Ferdinand A. Salas, Erlinda Kiambao, Maria Lourdes Navarez. Again, the 4 winners are Miss Girly de la Cruz, Ferdinand Salas, Erlinda Kiambao, and Maria Lourdes Navarez. So for the winners, please type your email address in the Zoom chat box so that we can send you the GC codes through email. So thank you everyone for participating. Also, we can send you e-certificates for attending this session. So here are the instructions on how to get them. All you have to do is email info@sprout.ph and include your name, company, and position. So thank you very much for attending this session, and we hope to see you next